Welcome, everybody. I am so excited to have you here for this webinar and a little mini training. And I want to introduce myself. A lot of you might not know me. I am Dr. Kathleen King, and I'm the CEO of Primal Trust. And that is a program that I started after my own journey of spending over a decade very debilitated and honestly almost 20 years without an understanding of how to get well. And like many of you, I went to so many doctors, spent everything I had, and could not get well. And that was frustrating, especially because I have a background. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, and I worked for years with people with chronic pain and other chronic conditions, and having even a type of medical background and not being able to heal with all of these mysterious symptoms. It was frustrating, and I know a lot of you can relate to that frustration. But eventually, I had some dots that connected for me based on my physical therapy background of understanding the brain and how the brain works with pain processing. And I was able to use some of that knowledge to apply it to the immune system and detox system and endocrine system. And so I'll be explaining to you today what light bulb went off with me to change the way that I approached chronic illness. And so we started Primal Trust. I started teaching people back in 2019, 2020. We started Primal Trust. Oops. Hey, Megan, your screen is showing. Somebody's screen is, oh, Blair Govin. I, okay, yeah. I don't know why some other people's screens are showing, but try not to share your screen. All right. Anyway, we started Primal Trust, showing people the same method that I worked with myself and the method I was coaching other people because they were healing and they were getting better. And we tested that method, and now we've, taken almost 20,000 people through it. So I can say with assurance that it works. We're now working with medical providers all over the world, possibly even starting to do some research with some large institutions. So we've got good things to share with you today. So with that, let's get into the presentation. Okay, so today we are going to talk about why nothing works until your nervous system does. And this is such an important thing that I just want to shout to the rooftops that, the nervous system really is a big missing piece. So if you're new to this work, I hope that you find some good things today. So everybody just arriving here before I begin, just take a breath and be here. I know we're running around, we have a million things going on, and just intend to find a truth for you that will help you with your next step. Intend that you come away with a fuller understanding and clarity and a wisdom about what you need for your own body and for your healing. And I hope that each of you come away with this feeling excited and rejuvenated and clear about what you need to do to help your body heal. So, who is this for? It's for all of you trying to get well, not knowing how fully, or maybe trying a million different things and not seeming to get the healing that you seek. So, I want to go through who this is for because this is important that you identify yourself in this process. And the first group that I want to talk to are the biohackers. So, a lot of you are probably stuck in social media, on forums, using chat to try to diagnose your latest symptoms, and you're all searching for that next thing that might finally help your body recover. And maybe you are, I'm going to have you guys mute if you're unmuted. A bunch of you are unmuted. Sorry, just some background noise. Thank you. A lot of you are probably wondering, well, what about these latest fad of these peptides I keep hearing about, right? Is that the answer? The expensive peptides, maybe that's what's going to fix it. Or mitochondrial optimization. That's what I need. I need a better red light device and a whole bunch of supplements for my mitochondria. This might fix me. Sounding familiar? Maybe you're trying to decide if you need to spend that tens of thousands of dollars on the dental procedures to remove all the mercury and address your cavitations, or some IV therapy or detox protocol that someone else swears changed their life. And you likely want to know which biohack that I did and what order I did them in. So I'm going to tell you what I did and the order. So, yeah, this is a big category that I'm seeing all over right now. How many of you relate to that one? Trying to figure out to spend what money to spend and how. Yeah, it can be overwhelming. The other group is the ones that might be earlier in the journey and they are chasing that diagnosis. Maybe you were just diagnosed with Lyme or mold or long haul COVID or some type of autoimmune illness, and you are desperately trying to find what your root cause diagnosis is. And you go from one doctor to another and they give you a new root cause diagnosis. And now you've got a page full of them. Anybody have a page full of diagnoses? I know I did. And so you're in this integrative medicine world maybe by now where you're taking 40 or 50 supplements a day, you're trying to follow that perfect diet and somehow trying to figure out how to pay for all of it while you can barely function. That was me too. And then sometimes we give up on that and we go into the energy alignment route. And you are meditating every day. You're trying to clear your aura, align your chakras. Maybe you're sun gazing and you're just trying to be positive. Maybe you're looking at the latest quantum devices. I have a whole closet full of those myself. And you're doing everything you're told to be healthy, and yet the needle isn't moving. Yeah, I was that person too. And it can be frustrating. So, this is also for some of you who do know that all of those things are only short-lived, and you might be a seasoned nervous system retrainer, and yet you're still not feeling a shift. Why is that? We're going to look into that as well today. So, if you have found that you are saying nothing works, or at least it's not working long term, I know that place very well. All of these things, I've done them all. And my illnesses never fully resolved, and some of them actually just got worse with that. And underneath of this, you're probably trying to understand, why is your body not recovering? And this is the key word. Why isn't it recovering? And it probably doesn't make sense because I remember looking around, seeing my family and other people eating McDonald's, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes. They could work out as much as they want. They felt completely fine. And it was maddening because here I was following that perfect gluten-free diet, dairy-free, paleo, low histamine, doing all the right things. And I could barely walk after getting out of the shower because that was too much energy, right? So it's frustrating, it's maddening, and it seemed like the medical system didn't understand how to help me. And I was always hoping that that next doctor would help me find this root cause. And it was, I spent so much money on my own path trying to do this. And I also know what it's like when you don't have any more hope because you keep spending that money and it's just slipping through your fingers and it's still not working. And so when that next treatment you take falls short and it doesn't work, and it was promised that it would, it's devastating. It's disheartening. It can make you feel like your body is failing you. And I just want you to know that you are not alone. I want to stop share for just a second because if you take a look in gallery view right now, we've got 600, almost 700 people on this call. Each one of these faces are probably faces just like you, trying to find out how to heal. I remember feeling so isolated in my room, watching all my friends live their life, and I can't handle light, I couldn't handle sound. So, looking at these faces, just know you are not alone in this. This is an epidemic, and this is why being part of some type of community that is focused on healing the things I'm going to talk to you about today is so empowering because it helps you remember when you are struggling at home, in your bed, alone. There are these faces with you trying to understand, how do I get out of these symptoms? How do I get out of these symptoms? And I'm telling you, this really is becoming an epidemic, these mystery illnesses that nobody can figure out. And it's because the way our medical model was trained is very they don't look at the full system. They were trained in different categories: the endocrinologist, the gastroenterologist, the neurologist. They're all in these separate categories. And when you have these chronic debilitating conditions that don't recover, there's a systemic issue, a whole body issue, mind, body, emotional, mental, physical issue that needs to be addressed. And there is a theory that I'll be showing with you, teaching you today, that helped me understand what that issue was. So just wanted you to take a moment and really recognize that you are not alone in this, and just to have some compassion for yourself and for everyone here who's seeking the same thing you are. All right, so I am going to be honest with you. Nothing that you are doing is going to fully work when your motherboard is offline. And you probably want to know what I mean by the motherboard. I'll get into that. The majority of people on this healing path, the approaches that you are chasing are creating short-lived results, probably incomplete healing, because if they're not paired with addressing your motherboard, and that motherboard is your nervous system, it's also kind of your belief systems as well, the healing isn't complete. And it's because this motherboard, this nervous system, it is the circuitry that is running your entire body. And you've got to learn how to get that motherboard into a deep reset so that any treatment that you do will work better if you choose to do that. So here's the deal. It doesn't matter what your diagnosis is, and you don't need to look for the perfect treatment, because truly any treatment works better when you get this part online. A lot of you get stuck trying to find, like, what is that perfect protocol for me? It's not about that, folks. It's really not. It's about your biological, your systemic biology, and we'll get into that. And I know about this. I didn't read it in a textbook. There are things that I read about now, but it was because of my own personal journey of recognizing what doesn't work and having a full understanding of the brain and the limbic system, and realizing that I was chasing the wrong root causes. I was following these protocols. I was trying these supplements and detox, but I wasn't addressing the master organizing system of my body. All right, when that's the autonomic nervous system. And I'm going to explain to you why this is the case. And I also want to be clear about this. I'm not telling you not to go do treatments. And I'm not saying that they don't work. I'm saying that they work on a certain type of body. The things that you're researching, the biohacks, the supplements, the devices, there's a certain type of body, and it's a body that has this motherboard operating well, and those people get the results a lot quicker. So you've got to have a body that can receive nutrients. You have to have a body that is in a space to be able to detoxify, a body whose emotional system can move in and out of stress states without getting stuck. So in other words, the supplements, the energy work, things like that, they work when the body is open to receiving life force. And this is not meant to be a disheartening message. It's a message of truth, because when you understand why things haven't worked, you're going to stop blaming your body and you'll see the path forward. And I want you to know that there really is a path forward. And in a bit, I'm going to share with you about that. So I just created a process designed for some of these most difficult cases. For those of you who've maybe tried nervous system programs and you couldn't sustain them, it was too much, things like that. And I'm going to go over that in a moment. So the problem is unresolving chronic conditions. And these are some things you cannot biohack or hope your way out of. Okay? If this is you, unresolving Lyme and mold, chronic fatigue, ME, long COVID, autoimmune. If this is you, you're highly sensitive. Supplements actually make you worse. The person who's trying to do everything right and they still crash. The symptoms that just don't resolve, or maybe they shift and they morph from one thing after another. I know for me, I felt like I was playing that whack-a-mole game. I would go from one thing to another. It was crazy making. Or if you're just simply at this point overwhelmed, burnt out, and you just can't sustain the nervous system work. So these are the situations, again, that biohacks do not work. It's a classic pattern where a lot of people will do protocols for this sort of thing. They'll get 20 to 40% better, but you can't fully get back online. And then often there's a relapse. So again, if this what I'm saying is resonating, if you're identifying yourself, you're my people. This is the population where it's not just dealing with a diagnosis, it's dealing with a system that cannot resolve the condition. This is really important that you start to shift away from thinking about your diagnosis and think about this as a system that isn't resolving a situation. Okay. I know this is kind of nuanced. It'll make more sense in a moment. So, again, if you're somebody who is super reactive, this is especially for you. This kind of information is especially for you because this is one of the biggest signs that your body is stuck in an unresolving illness response, is that you end up becoming highly sensitive as well. So there's two things today that I really hope that you come away with: an understanding as to why you are stuck. I want you to have an explanation today that gets you fully on board, like without a doubt, why the nervous system piece has to be addressed if you want complete healing. And if you want your protocols, well, if you choose to do them, to actually work. All right. And the second thing is, I want you to understand how you get your life back fully. A very doable solution for those who are super sick or super busy or keep falling off the wagon. People are either so sick and overwhelmed that a comprehensive program feels too much. And we do have a comprehensive program. For those of you who've done Primal Trust, my level 1 and level 2 are very comprehensive. And what I found is that sometimes, and for certain people, it's too much, or people are too busy, and they just can't sustain it, or so it feels like they're not able to complete that process. And I've been trying to solve that problem for years. Like, how do I get people to have their nervous system regulate, but they can't sustain this comprehensive program? So I'll be going into this today later about how over the last several months, my team and I have built out what I think is the cleanest, most doable solution that we've ever offered, to really help move the needle here. But first, we're going to go into some science. And if you guys know me, you know I love teaching science. So like I've said, the key word is unresolving. It's not your diagnosis. It really doesn't matter what your diagnosis is. If you are relating to what I'm saying, it's not your diagnosis. It is the fact that it's not resolving. And someone wrote in here a genetic susceptibility. I will even say that for those of you with mold and Lyme, and you've been told, oh, it's this genetic thing. There's a partial truth there, but again, there is a way around that. I have those HLA genes as well, and I've gotten around them. So the unresolving Lyme, the mold, the autoimmune, why isn't it resolving? It is because of the unresolving cell danger response. How many of you, is this the first time you have heard the term cell danger response? Put a 1 in the chat box. Just curious to see who this is new for. If you haven't heard of the cell danger response by Robert Naviaux, who is the founder of this theory, he's a brilliant scientist, I highly recommend that you learn all you can about it, because this is the theory that changed everything for me. This is where the light bulb went on. When I learned about this in 2018, I was like, oh, this is why my body is stuck. And I believe that this man and this theory is one of the pioneering theories for the future of medicine for chronic illness. So check him out. We're going to go into this today. I go into this much more in depth in Primal Trust, and I have a lot of material on it that's free out there, like ebooks and things like that. But basically, the unresolving cell danger response is what I want you to learn about today and fully understand as a way of thinking about what's going on with your chronic conditions. Okay. So the cell danger response, what is happening? Basically, if you look at this, this slide here, if there are toxins or some type of chemical that hit your system, or some type of psychological trauma or physical injury or infection, if any of these hit the cell, There's a normal biological process that happens, which is called the cell danger response. And if you see this cell wall here, the cell is programmed to survive. It's programmed to create a protective barrier when these things are in your system. When your nervous system is sending the message saying, hey, there is a threat outside of the cell. It's one of these things here. We need to create a protective barrier. And so the cells will hunker down and protect. Now, what do you think might happen if you're throwing a bunch of supplements into your body and your cell walls are hardened and they're hunkered down and they're protecting? Do you think those nutrients are going to get in the cell? Unlikely, or if so, not much. Also, there's toxins inside the cell, and a lot of you are trying to force detoxification. And when you're in this cell danger response, toxins are being told to stay put for now because your body is trying to protect from a foreign invader. So you're not going to detoxify well either. And in fact, it can make it worse. Sometimes we'll go into therapy and try to like heal our trauma. But when we are operating under this threat mode, it can sometimes make that worse too. Sometimes we're taking treatments to try to kill infection, but our immune system is not in a place where the cells are able to respond properly. The immune system is getting a signaling that is sometimes causes it to be overreactive and underreactive. So basically what I'm saying is a lot of our treatments are working against ourselves and our cells when we are in this unresolving cell danger response that Robert Naviaux describes. This to me is the core issue behind all of those things we mentioned. This is the common denominator behind the autoimmune, the mold, the Lyme, the digestive issues. This is the key. So, cell danger response. It is a protection response. It is not about the pathology. It's not about just having the microbes in your system. It's an overarching protection response of when the cells feel threatened, it goes into this response. The cells will hunker down, your healing functions will get suppressed, the body will become defensive and not restorative, and you cannot override this protection response with protocols. I am telling you, like this person who is in deep protection, these are the ones the protocols backfire or they are short-lived. You cannot override this type of deep autonomic signaling through your whole body that is saying, hunker down and protect. There is a war. The supplements you're taking, the treatments, it's basically like throwing gasoline on the fire. Do any of you relate to this? Of trying to do things and it feels like you just threw gasoline on the fire. That's what's happening here. Okay. So how do we shift out of this? And I just want to say this was me. I was the person, you guys, I couldn't even take homeopathic treatments. It would literally throw my body into a full shutdown. I was that sensitive. I was someone who couldn't handle a lot of therapies like EMDR. It would also throw me in a loop. I couldn't even take a binder. I couldn't handle the sauna. I couldn't take antimicrobials. It's maddening when you have all of these diagnoses and the treatments you can't tolerate. Or if you are doing them, it seems like they're not working. And it's because the signaling in your system is not in alignment with the kind of treatment you're doing. You have to get a safety signal to move out of cell danger response. And I'll explain that here now. So this is probably the most complex slide that you'll see today. And I go over this much more in depth inside of my program, but I'm going to give you a high level understanding of how the cell danger response resolves. Again, everything is about resolving. And when you have ongoing symptoms that do not resolve, you are stuck in a cell danger response. Now, a lot of people out there, you have probably heard of them. They get Lyme, they get mold, they get some type of digestive issue. They do treatments and they heal. And you're like, why am I not healing? They were likely not stuck in a deep cell danger response. And this is the way that their autonomic nervous system functions as kind of a set point. And so, yes, it is true that pathogens and molds and toxins and metals and things like that can deepen the cell danger response and even initiate you into this depth of illness. But I'm telling you, there's also some type of programming in your autonomic nervous system that is stuck to stay in a heightened protection mode if you are not healing. And the people who get stuck are often those who grew up in chaotic environments, or they were in some type of stressful relationship for too long, or they were super high functioning type A go-getter, which is also a stress response for too long. These are the kind of people that end up in ongoing cell danger responses. So again, it's less about the diagnosis and more about your body's ability to resolve that diagnosis. So let's talk about this. So there are stages when you get some type of infection or toxic exposure or a trauma. It is normal to go into CDR stage 1. That is defense and containment. Your body wants to protect your cells. And so it does this thing where it closes communication down. Your mitochondrial energy gets shifted from giving you energy to thrive and to go do things. And the energy instead is created for signaling from cell to cell to send warning messages and to go into defense mode. So it's not true that you don't have mitochondrial energy. Your mitochondrial energy is just getting redirected for a different purpose. And that's a big key. A lot of you think you don't have mitochondrial energy. It's there. It's just being redirected right now. And so it's normal to go in this type of survival and danger response. And the body, after a certain period of time, is supposed to shift into CDR stage 2, which is once the threat is reduced and the nervous system gets the message, oh, the war is starting to be over. We can start to clean up. Your cells will shift into repair mode. Your immune system shifts into a different mode. This is where we, clean up the old immune cells, where we start to begin to detoxify again and rebuild the structures that were damaged. This is supposed to happen, but for some of you, you're getting stuck in CDR1 and or a combination of CDR1 and 2. And it's because of the signaling in your autonomic nervous system. It's a lot of you are like, oh, it's because the mold and the Lyme and the metals are still there. Yes and no. The body has an ability to clean those things up when the signal of safety and repair is sent. So yes, cleaning up those things can help, but ultimately, and Robert Navio talks about this, it is the signaling of the autonomic nervous system that is the big daddy. It is the big switch that is going to shift you from here to here and help your body clean up the pathogens and the toxins. So we have this backwards, folks. We think, oh, I can't heal until I clean up this pathogen and this toxin. No, you don't heal until you get the signal to have your immune system, your detox system sent to help the body clean up that pathogen and toxin. Meaning it's the autonomic nervous system that you need to get on board more than anything. And then those treatments are going to work better. And eventually you get into the CDR stage 3 as you start healing. And that's where your cellular communication comes back online. You go back into normal function. Your immune system comes back into balance. And that's that optimized, healthy baseline. I never thought I would get here after years of illness, but I'm telling you, it is possible. It's absolutely possible. And that is what we are here to teach you how to do. Okay, that was a mouthful. Are you following me? Again, cell danger response is a thick science, but it's beautiful. And it is truly the essence of the understanding as to why the nervous system work and even belief work, emotional work, trauma processing is the big daddy if you're dealing with unresolving symptoms. And I also just want to say this. I've talked about the nervous system a lot, moving this cell danger response on. It's more than that. The nervous system regulation helps you get into this internal alignment that allows your belief systems to shift, your perspectives to shift. It allows you to be in touch with your truth. It allows you to not go against yourself. And when you live that aligned truth, that is the number one message in your autonomic nervous system of safety, because it means that you are safe to be you. You are safe to live the life you love. You have this inner freedom. So nervous system work, as much as I talk about that, I also want to say it's the work that allows you to come into alignment. And it's that deep alignment that shifts the safety signal. But we have to do the nervous system work first to get into that inner, I'm okay, I'm safe to be me. I'm living a life I love, even though I might have some of these symptoms going on. So that's the summary of that big mouthful. I also want to say that a lot of people and practitioners get this backwards. They think, oh my gosh, look at all of your lab tests. You've got all of these things going on. And they start giving you intensive protocols and heavy duty detox regimens and even like well meaning trauma work without your nervous system capacity to do it. And that is not healing, it's re traumatizing. I want to just speak to you for a second about that. This is really important to understand. You cannot strong arm the body to override the cell danger response. You have to work with it. So if you keep collapsing every time you're doing these protocols, this is likely why. So even emotional processing or even energy work, like I mentioned earlier, without regulation, it often leads to a shutdown, a collapse, or some type of flare. And a lot of trauma healing programs, they're well meaning, but they go straight into that container of getting into your deep, dark trauma patterns. And this is not helpful if you are stuck in CDR stage 1 or 2. It's not helpful. It actually sends more signals of safety, sometimes awakening those sleeping giants, those memory structures when your body isn't ready. I see people crash all the time, and I was one of them. I was someone literally doing EMDR and parts work for years when I was sick, but I didn't have the nervous system capacity to handle what I was processing. And so that is why we have a very careful sequence in Primal Trust to help people carefully walk through that CDR stage 1, 2, and 3 process from a nervous system standpoint. We've also been educating practitioners and therapists all over the globe for the last year. We have a free practitioner training where I'm helping them understand the sequencing that I just described to you. Because after working with thousands of people, I've watched who crashes and who doesn't. And I see how protocols seem to either flare or help. And so, if you are a practitioner here on the training, we do have a training led by me personally that is free because I really want people to understand how to move through this cell danger response. So maybe Megan can put something in the chat box for practitioners. So the point is, you need more bandwidth. You need more bandwidth in your nervous system to move the cells into a different stage to get more signaling of, hey, it's safe to let these nutrients in. It's safe to start detoxing. It's safe to start cleaning up these immune cells. And that is what the body needs for healing. So they say that the proof is in the pudding. So I want to show you guys some proof here. Okay. Just a couple of my case studies of some dear friends. Paula was actually one of my first clients when I first started coaching, and then I kind of lost track with her. She went on her own journey. Eventually, she came back to Primal Trust. She was one of the worst cell danger response stage 1 stuck people I had worked with. Super sick. You know, the CFS, the Lyme, the POTS, mast cell, severe endometriosis. She truly had that multi-systemic picture that I'm describing to you. And she couldn't tolerate anything. And this was her when she finally, did Primal Trust and did the nervous system work. This was like her checkboard of all of the things she was able to do. And some of them, were walking, and some of the things were protocols, and some of the things that she was finally able to tolerate because of moving out of cell danger response. And today she's full functioning. She had a child, she's exercising, she's traveling, she's working. She did amazing. So that's when I see people like this that were stuck for 18 years in severe cell danger response, and now they are in that freedom stage. It is possible. So that was one case. And these stories are also on my YouTube channel. I've got several success stories on the Primal Trust YouTube channel. So check them out. The next one, Steph, I love her story. She actually started with my first program in 2021, which was just a basic brain retraining program. And she had improvements and she was happy, and she left for a while. And then she came back in 2024. Again, this is a woman stuck in cell danger response and Crohn's disease, that supposedly incurable autoimmune condition. She came back and she completed my newer programs, level 1 and level 2. And she was surprised this year that she was completely clear of Crohn's. So when you get out of cell danger response, these incurable things sometimes resolve. And so I want you to have hope. None of you are too sick to have at least some healing happen by doing this kind of work. One of the things Steph said that I thought was really important that I want to touch on today, she said, and her story is also on YouTube, my identity shifted through primal trust. I let go of controlling my relationships and learned to deeply regulate my stress response. And I was shocked that my Crohn's disappeared because she said, I was only trying to heal my insomnia. She didn't think Crohn's could go away. That's why I'm saying it doesn't matter what your diagnosis is, it's the shift of the autonomic nervous system. And you remember how I said earlier that it's less about the nervous system. The nervous system practices are important, but why are we doing them? Steph did them to shift her identity and how she was able to handle her relationships. She said, I stopped needing to control them. I was able to be with my stress response by using her tools. And so that letting go of control ultimately allowed her Crohn's to heal, which I just love that story. That's the archetype of what I'm saying is possible here. The nervous system work guides you back to an inner alignment so that you live differently. And it is that difference in living, the way you're living, your identity difference is what gives that deep signaling change in the autonomic nervous system. So I also want to touch on the issue I referred to earlier, which is people who have tried nervous system work and they recover to a point, but they quit. Why does this happen? Well, it's because healing, healing is, sorry, hold on. Why does this happen? There are reasons why people quit that I want to go over today. One of them is a moment where you get really excited. And that is usually the New Year's resolution syndrome, which is what a lot of you are in right now. That I'm super excited. I'm going to do this new thing and I'm going to change this year. And a lot of times what that is it's like an all or nothing thinking. It's not sustainable, especially when you make a whole bunch of big ideas of how you want to change. So a lot of people come into Primal Trust or another program and they're like, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to be completely different. And they have this extreme go-getter attitude, which is unsustainable. And then they crash and burn. So that's the first clue here. It needs to be a sustainable, balanced type of goal or new habit. The second thing that happens is eventually people feel stuck for some reason. They feel bored. They feel unmotivated, and basically overwhelmed. And this stage is actually ironic when you're really close to a huge transformation, and people will quit here too. And so I just want to bring those two types of patterns up because that's what we're going to be addressing. So let's talk again about how we're going to shift out of these cellular protection patterns. Again, this is not about getting better information about your diagnosis. It is about an identity shift and having repetitive safety cues to your system. It's not random practices. So a lot of you are probably in that habit of scrolling Instagram for, practices to follow that day. It's not a random practice. It needs to be a sequential practice that builds upon itself. It also needs to be a daily repetition. So let's say you're like, oh my gosh, today I'm going to do nervous system work, and you do an hour and then you don't do anything for 5 days. That's also not going to work long term. It needs to be daily. The nervous system needs daily, repetitive cues of safety, and it needs to be doable. And that's why I've worked on a new process to make it more doable. Ultimately, you guys, it's about this identity shift. This is the most important thing. I talk about this through all my programs. The kind of healing I'm talking about is really an identity change. It's shifting from trying to fix yourself, where you're always in this vigilance of what's wrong? What do I need to do next? Oh my gosh, what does this symptom mean? Instead, shifting to an identity of how do I show up every day in some way that is going to send a signal of safety to my system, and it's going to help me live in more alignment. And that identity shift is not going to change with random practices that you're learning on Instagram. It's not going to change when you do this whole like New Year's resolution thing for 3 days and quit. It changes with small, consistent signals that you send to the body that says, I am here. I am safe. I am enough. I can come out of protection. Even with these scary symptoms, I'm okay right now. And I know that seems like impossible to do, but there's a way to do it. So that's what I'm working on, making a nervous system program that's easy and digestible without overwhelm so that you guys can actually succeed. All right. So a lot of you have said to me, Kat, I just want you in my back pocket every day. Can you just be my personal coach? I'm like, no, I can't do that. But I have found an alternative to help guide you every day for 40 days. And I'll talk about that here next. So Daily Regulate, it is the program that I've been working on after listening to you for a long time of what you guys need. And it's starting on February 2nd. And it's all meant to help you crawl out of this cell danger response, to move you at least hopefully from CDR1 to CDR stage 2. And it's small. It's 4 to 7 minutes a day. And it's delivered right to your email. So you don't need to go figure out where it is in the program. You don't need to go log in and dig for it. It's going to go right to your email. You just press play on a video where I'm coaching you with exactly what I want you to know that day and only that day. And it's going to build on itself in a sequence. So you don't have to figure it out. It's literally like, okay, Kat's going to tell me what to do today. I'm going to give you a little lesson and a practice that's just a few minutes. And that day, that's all I want you to practice. And you might do that practice a few times if you want, but you're going to know exactly what I want you to do that day. So you don't have to figure anything out. All right. It is, it's something that, again, I've worked with a lot of people, and I know the sequence that works to help unlock this CDR system. So I'm not throwing you straight into brain retraining with it. You're not going to be doing trauma processing. It's the careful systematic exercises to send that signal of a little bit of safety one day at a time. You cannot force the body out of a cell danger response. You have to slowly teach the autonomic nervous system how to perceive safety in a way that works. So why 40 days? Because consistency is the missing ingredient for so many of you. It's not about willpower. It's about this safety and ease of implementing these kind of practices. So I know that your identity, if after 40 days you have showed up for yourself just a few minutes, 4 to 7 minutes, I know after 40 days you are going to feel like someone who regulates their nervous system. That's the identity shift that starts to, run deep inside of you. You become someone who wants to show up for your nervous system every day. And that starts to shift that set point of the autonomic nervous system. Again, it's not about the Lyme, the mold, the metals, the things like that. It's about how you show up in your nervous system that moves this needle. And just remember, most people often quit right before it starts clicking. So that's why I'm trying to create this very simple process after so many of you have said, I need it more simple, Dr. Kat. Okay, I want to help get you through that I want to quit stage. So this is my hope. It's a 40-day journey that has 6 themes to it. And the first, every week is kind of a different theme. Again, it's a sequence of exercises and principles. I'm literally taking the best that I could think of teaching you and distilling it into 1 to 2 minutes. Like, okay, here is the principle I want you to know today. And here's the practice that builds on that principle. And I'm walking you through a process where at the beginning, we're working on awareness of interrupting those unconscious brain to body stress patterns. And then in week 2, we're going to learn how to attend to the different types of stress patterns that you all have. And each of you have a different type of stress pattern. You're very individualized. So you're going to learn how to attend to that. The 3rd week, we're going to build more capacity where we start getting into various vagus nerve toning exercises. And for those of you who have taken Primal Trust, some of the exercises are the same and some of them are new and different. So there is going to be new material for you, okay? Then in the 4th week, we start working on that neuroplasticity piece, the limbic system. The 5th week, we get more into something known as interoception. That's another word. If that's a new word for you, it's a big key of healing chronic illness. interoceptive capacity. So write it down. Interoceptive capacity. Look it up and learn how to understand it. It's a big part of it. But you have to have enough safety in the system to really do that work in a deep way. So by the 5th week, we're going to be working on the somatics and the interoceptive capacity, which is all about getting your gut instinct back online. And honestly, that is one of the stages where the rubber really meets the road with the CDR response, because it's this deep mind body reconnect that causes the autonomic nervous system to be able to say, there's a presence here. There, I am here for this. I know what I actually want right now. I'm not going to say no, or I'm not going to say yes when I mean no. There's this deep signaling that happens that your nervous system begins to trust you and to trust life when that interoceptive capacity comes back online. This is something, you guys, that often gets so broken because of trauma. There's this mind body disconnect because we go into these survival responses. And you can't just go in and change them because you've got all sorts of protective patterning behind doing this. And that's what the first few weeks are going to do. It's going to help to calm down the system so that you can get those deep shifts in the signaling between the brain and the body. That brain to body signaling, folks, is what needs to have this type of life force flow, this alignment, this it's safe to be me, that even though I have some of these uncomfortable symptoms and I have these diagnoses, I'm innately okay and I can trust life itself. That's what has to happen to move the CDR needle. So, yeah. And then someone asked, sorry, I just saw someone asking about hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy can be great when you get to this stage. Again, I think it's a great tool at the right time when you've got basic nervous system tools online. And then the last stage is this reconnect stage. That is what I was describing earlier, like Steph, who we learned about today, who her Crohn's healed because she was able to reconnect to her true self and handle the rupture of relationship challenges. She was able to not go into controlling them. She was in a relationship with her own heart, and she didn't need to control anyone anymore. She was able to let them off the hook. This is something I see over and over again. If you look at my success stories on YouTube, there's a common theme. They all say, I ask them, what do you think healed you? And they'll say, I chose me. I built a relationship with me. I stopped throwing myself under the bus. I started loving who I am. I didn't need to control them anymore. I didn't need to control life. I didn't need to worry about tomorrow because I trusted myself to handle it. I trusted myself to handle it. That is the deep signal of I've got this, I've got me. And safety will reverberate through every cell of your body. And your body has an innate wisdom to heal these things. We've seen thousands of people come through this process and heal. Some of them did protocols and some of them didn't. They just did this work, folks, and their body got online, and their Lyme went away and their mold levels started to detoxify and their autoimmune went away. Not everybody ends up doing protocols. All right, so that's another thing. So that is the 40-day new program in a nutshell, and I'm super excited. And it is a bridge to my full comprehensive. So let's say you've done 40 days and you're like, okay, that's amazing. I have this habit. You could repeat that 40-day process if you loved it. You've got the emails. You can just do that again. Or you could go into our full level 1 program and then take the deep dive. But either way, your body will be set up to do this work. You will already be getting shifts. You'll be able to go into level 1 or my level 2 program and get a lot more out of it because you're going to have the basics in a nutshell understood. You'll have been doing practices every day, so your nervous system is attuned to being addressed. It'll be attuned to change because that's a big thing. Your nervous system needs to be able to handle change in order to heal. It'll be able to handle more of the, supplements and protocols if you do choose to do that. So yes, this is it. I'm super excited about it. I'm going to do a little practice with you guys in just a moment. A practice from the Daily Regulate program. Before that, though, I wanted to just get this QR code up. If you are interested, we have a special promo for those of you who are here on this live webinar right now. So if you want to get that, the code is webinar20 in all caps, and that will give you a 20% off our monthly or our 5 monthly. And again, this starts in a few weeks. Some of you have already been joining and just working through the current level 1 material, which is a great start. So if you feel like getting started now, come on in, start working through the first couple of modules, and then when the 40-day launches, you can just jump right in that. You can do them side to side. You can keep doing level 1 and do this 40-day, because the 40-day is just a few minutes a day, or you can just move into the 40-day. So all right, so are you guys ready to do a practice? I'll put this back up on screen again after the practice, but if you need to get that code, do that right now, and then we will do a practice together. All right, so for the practice, this one is just a very simple practice from the Daily Regulate, and it's just going to be a breath pattern and something called orienting. So what I'd like you to do is you're going to put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And we are going to help your nervous system orient to this present moment and just follow my cues. So I want you to keep your eyes open to begin with. And I want you to take a deep breath through your belly, feel your hand on your belly, and look around the room while you breathe into your belly. Just one deep breath and one long exhale, and just notice the colors in the room that you're in while you're feeling your hand on your belly. So what you're doing right now is you're doing something called external orienting, and it's where your brain is toggling between the feeling of the breath and the hand on your belly and noticing the environment. And we do this to interrupt the limbic system that might be in a stress response, thinking and feeling like there's a tiger in the room chasing you right now because you have some scary symptoms. Your eyes, when you calm down for just a moment and you slowly look around the room, feel your belly, your eyes are sending the signal to your limbic system that there's no threat in this room right now. I'm sitting here on a chair or couch or bed, and I feel my hand on my belly. And next, what I'd like you to do, we're just going to let that go. I want you to close your eyes. And now with your hand on your heart, I want you to take a deep breath in through your heart with your eyes closed. And on the exhale, just in your own mind, say to yourself, I am here. I am here right now in my body. And you're just feeling the feeling of you. Feel the feeling in your body with your eyes closed. Just take a moment, breathing through your heart with your eyes closed, sending the signal again to the limbic system that there's a presence here, that you are here in your body right now as it is. You might be noticing symptoms, you might be uncomfortable, and you're still here. You're present just for a moment. And then open your eyes, and I want you to feel your belly again and take a breath through the belly and look around the room again. So now we're toggling back to looking outside. We're moving our orientation to outside the body. And I just slowly look for something beautiful in my room, something that catches my eye. And I'm just noticing it while feeling a breath in my belly. So two things at the same time. Breathing into my hand on my belly and noticing the room. Again, this is just interrupting stress chemistry for just a moment. And then I want you to close your eyes one more time. Close your eyes and breathe into your heart. And a big long exhale. And just say to yourself, I am here. I am here to attend to this nervous system. I am here to attend to myself, to feel my truth. I'm here to send a different signal. And even if you can, just for one moment right now, I'm willing to be here and I'm willing to feel a little bit safer, even with these symptoms, just for a moment. And there's a pathway through this. the willingness to feel a little more safety just by learning the truth of what's keeping your body in unresolving illness and learning that there's a path forward and that many, many people have been taking this path and healing. People just like you with mystery illnesses, weird symptoms, because they learn how to send a signal of safety so deep in their nervous system that it reverberates through every cell and organ of the body. And that signal of safety is sent alongside maybe having some challenges, alongside having some pathogens or toxins or metals in the body. It's that signal of safety that causes the cellular function to shift, for the immune system to come online, to be discerning, to not overreact, to know how to clean up. It's that signal of safety that helps the body let go of the toxins and the metals. You see, so many of you are trying to detoxify and you're fighting yourself because your body is not in a state of letting go. It's not in a state of trust. It's not in a state of, I am here now in this. Your body cannot let go of these things easily without you being in a space of ease and trust. And so with that, you guys can open your eyes again. So that's just a little example, just a couple minute practice that you could repeat a few times a day. It's not rocket science. I want to show you how easy these things are. Okay, it's just a little bit of space holding and some cues that I'll be giving you of self-talk to allow what is happening to happen and have a little more safety to move that needle of the CDR response. That's all that needs to happen. So I'm going to finish out. I think I have like one slide left. And oh yeah, we just practiced. So the last slide here. 2026 doesn't change you. You do. Choose a bigger goal, meaning a goal for yourself. Or sorry, don't choose a bigger goal. You're choosing a goal for yourself, which is something you can actually do. This small daily container that you can repeat and that's doable so we can move the needle. And I am going to stay on for some Q&A because we do have 15 minutes. I got done. Just be here to answer some questions. And I'm going to throw this code back up just for a second for any of you who might need it. Again, the code is webinar20 in all caps. And I would love to see you give this a try and give me feedback. And for those of you who know me, you guys have seen me continue to listen to you and create a new program based on your feedback. So I would love your feedback. And if things that I'm teaching, you want to see it tweaked, let me know. I'm often willing to tweak things and to change things. So yeah, I hope to see you guys inside the community. All right, with that, I'm going to start with some questions. All right. Lori Ann, hello. Whoops, you're muted. Oh, Lori Ann, are you there? Are you not able to mute yourself? Um, Let me see. There's an unmute button on the bottom. There you go.
Okay, yeah. I was getting a message that said the host would not let me unmute.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited for this new 40 days that you're doing. I have been in your program for a while now and can't get out of my own way, which brings me to a question that isn't directly related to everything you're talking about, but I'd like to ask it anyway. I um, I am wondering about my resistance, and I'm wondering about ADHD and demand avoidance. And I just read your article about is it ADHD or is it nervous system? Um, and I guess I would like to just hear from you a little bit more on that. And if indeed ADHD is a factor, it is for me, but I am a person who does not really want to go down the medication route. And how can all of the primal trust work help with demand avoidance if is indeed my issue with resistance? I'm not entirely sure why my resistance is there.
Yeah, good question. A little tricky question. So before I get myself in hot water with mental health diagnoses, I'll just put the disclaimer. This is my personal opinion.
Yes.
I would say that I am somebody who has ADHD, and I would say that it allows me to do a lot of amazing things, like create a ton of programs with a lot of content. And I couldn't do any of that when I first started this work. I couldn't do any of that. I had no ability to follow through, and it was all over the place. But there is something about the somatic work that, despite the way my brain works, and it still does work that way, that I'm now able to stay centered in this willpower that I'm in touch with because my interoceptive capacity, I think, is online. There's a part of the brain called the insula, and it's always giving feedback between the brain and the body. And I think that when that connection gets stronger, it can be stronger than some of these ADHD tendencies because you are in touch with your instinct, your drive, your will. And so, despite my brain working in all these ways, when I am clear about what I want to do, I'm now able to follow through with it and create what you see today. So, I'll just speak from my perspective, but I do think that the nervous system piece can absolutely help that.
Beautiful. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome. All right, the next one is Chiara. Chiara, I think that's how you pronounce it. And see if you can unmute. There you are.
Tiara, yeah. Can you see me?
I don't,
There
yes,
we go.
there you are. Hi.
Yeah. Hiya. Um, so I've been on a long journey of trying to get out of mold, and it's like it doesn't matter how hard I try, I seem to end up back in it. And I'm now back in it and stuck in a 6-month contract. And what you were saying about the cell danger response, is quite hard for me to get out of the cell danger response because my brain is like, but this is the thing, this is the
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah. Let me talk to that one. There's a
Yeah.
lot of you are saying, but the mold, but the mold, but the mold. Let me tell you my
Yeah.
story. We had lost everything. By the time I started brain retraining, we were literally living off church welfare. So I didn't have money to move either. And I lived in mold when I did my retraining. And I absolutely got a tremendous amount of function back to the point where I even was able to start coaching and doing this work. I didn't move out of mold until 2021, so just a few years ago. I moved to the desert. I was living in mold that entire time. I will say, like, once I moved to the desert, is it easier? Yes. But can you get your function back? Yes. And so
Yay.
this is part of it. If you're signaling deep within you is in your joy, your radiance, your alignment, your safety. That signal, I believe, and I have seen trump the signal of the spores that are in the air also. Yes, of course, those things are irritating and it is more difficult. Clean your room, clean everything as best you can, but know that your signaling from your psyche, from your heart, from your soul is stronger. It is stronger because what we're doing here is we're getting different signaling input to the cells. It's detecting toxins, it's detecting pathogens and metals and foods, but it's also detecting a signal of you from your own consciousness of how you believe your safety is right here and right now. And that is the strongest signal, folks. It is stronger than any physical reality thing that might be in there. So it's not that those things don't affect you. It's just that you can trump that. And I see people do that all the time. Many people in my community have recovered while having to live in mold with the HLA genes, which was me. So is it harder? Yes, it was definitely harder. And it's possible. Both are true. So,
Thank you. Yeah, that's really helpful because I did yesterday I was just praying and I did get that message. It was like the message was like, you're not the same person that you were. You're not the same person. It's not going to affect you in the same way because you've done so much healing work. So I kind of got that message.
yeah.
But it's really good to hear of other people that have been through that, and
Yeah.
that's really helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Shari. Oops, you're muted, dear. Oh, wait, hold on. I might have to allow you to. Oh, there. Try again. There
There
you
we
go.
go. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. I've been in your program for a while and um, tried other programs before, and I keep telling myself to slow down and take it more gently, and it keeps being too much. And I keep saying, like, seriously, I have to go slower. Seriously, I have to go slower. And so this is all making a ton of sense. The question I have is I'm right perimenopause age,
Mhm.
and I have a twin sister who is not ill. And so one of the things that I've noticed is over the past several months, when I first started your program, I started getting a little bit of benefit. And then all of a sudden, I almost started getting like a little worse, but it seemed cyclical with my
Mhm.
cycle. And my twin sister was also having increased problems. And so now I feel like I'm in this tangle of like, what's my illness and what's my hormones?
Mhm.
And I'm afraid to do anything drastic with the hormones, but I also know that I need to untangle that a little bit because I think that is really affecting at some level. And I didn't know if you had any thoughts around
Yeah, I sure do, because I'm right there with you, sister. 48 and a half, it's fun. I see a lot of hearts right now. There's a lot of sisters here in your heart.
that.
So
49.
here's what I'd say. And here's what I say to me. I know exactly what you're talking about. It doesn't really matter if it's the hormones or if it's the illness. It's still how the body is processing the shift, because what's happening each month is there's this hormone shift, and the way that the body is used to processing change for you is threat. So it's like, oh my gosh, this is another threat. So the work, you might have a bumpier ride knowing that you have some of the hormone stuff. I know also, just as a side note, at this stage, blood sugar regulation on top of that is massive for this. So I would look into that. If you learned from Mindy Peltz and her theory about hormone work and the nervous system and all of that, she highly recommends that piece. That's been a big factor for me, just alongside doing the nervous system work, which is nervous system work, because it's also sending signals of steadiness to the nervous system alongside those hormone shifts. So, nervous system work, blood sugar regulation, and recognizing that you're now having to, up the ante of regulating through change signaling, because that's really what's happening. You're having change signaling, and the body isn't sure that's safe, because that's one of the common patterns with these limbic issues is hormone flux. So yeah, you have one more storm, kind of like the woman before who has to regulate in mold. You're having to regulate with hormone fluctuation. So the other thing that I would say is the most important thing is getting in your freaking joy, your sensual expression, your feminine. This is a transition in life. Like, I was just in Costa Rica and I was just living it up with all my perimenopause stuff, and I felt amazing. I literally felt 20, and I'm like, it's because I am in my darn joy. And I'm going through this portal, embracing the change in my femininity. So all of this resistance is part of it. It's an unconscious resistance to change, to the aging thing, all of the things. So physically, nervous system work, blood sugar regulation, but most importantly, that emotional embracing of this change and doing everything you can to get into that radical self-expression so that you're embracing this. So hopefully that was kind of a side note answer, but that's what I mean. I'd love to do a whole perimenopause webinar. We'll have to do that sometime, because I'm in it, and I can tell you that that is what has helped me the most. I have my tools, and I have the embracing of this change that has been just radically, I've had to make some tough personal changes to, it's also asking you, like, this change of life, it's part of that alignment. It demands alignment. And there might be personal changes that have to happen as well to go along with it. So I'll just say that.
Do you have any um, recommendations for helping getting into that radical? Because joy is a difficult thing for me.
Yeah. I just think, go to Costa Rica. I'm sorry. Go dance in the jungle with some
Yes,
women.
please.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I did, but But no, it actually is getting into women's circles. We need each other through this time. The whole red tent idea is something I'm really trying to like
I love
bring
that.
back in my life because it's so crucial. We have lost that. It's part of why we are so dysregulated as women. We do not have these women communities, getting involved in community, getting in a study group, if you're not already, but creating community is the nervous system loves going through change of life together with others. So I've been getting involved, like finding a local dance community. I've been purposely making more friends my age that I can relate to. Those kind of things have been absolutely helpful for me.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Sherry. All right. Thanks, guys, for listening to that whole spiel. Gotta give something to the men now. Kelly Rubin, hi. Whoops. Oh, wait, let me, yeah, gotta let you unmute. Okay, now try. Oops, and try again. Hmm.
Aha,
There you are.
there we
Hi.
go. Hi. Um, there's a lot behind this question, so I'm trying, and I'm hyperverbal, so I'm going to try and just I wrote it down, and I'm hoping for a pretty specific answer if possible. Um, are there any specific resources within Primal Trust or adaptations or accommodations to the work that you've seen be helpful to people who experience delusions or psychotic spectrum experiences on a daily basis? In my case, now it's been shown to probably potentially from age 2 be stemming from Bartonella, like with confirmed in the blood. And that for 20 years, 20 plus years was seen just as OCD treated with CBT, ERP, and traditional psych meds. So in a way, I fall into that seasoned nervous system trainer-ish in a way, in that whole world, they think they're trying to teach you to work on the nervous system, but they don't even know nervous system 101 in the language. So I have some trauma that's a separate part, sort of the trauma around the work and languaging around it and all that stuff. But specific to, let's just assume I have embraced the idea that the nervous system is the most important thing and anybody can do this work, helps anybody and can override all the things. And hopefully you can understand from some of my trauma, I do have some resistance, but that's a separate thing because I'm also really devoted to healing and all that stuff. So let's say I'm bought in, like whatever. Are there any specific resources or things in the community or adaptations you've seen work for people with daily delusions and psychotic spectrum experiences? Because I have asked your team about this and wasn't able to really get much.
Have you done our level 2 program? Where are you at with?
Well, that's another. I'm very early on, so again,
okay.
But at the same time, I'm exposed to I know a lot of your methodology and stuff, and the level 2 in a way is stuff that I've been trying to do alongside the OCD for all this time. So in terms of actual, breathing practices, somatic orienting, all this stuff, what I found is like, it's sort of this catch-22 because it's like, there's definite stuff. Like I've also just done the Cunningham autoimmune brain panel and it was very positive. So there's auto antibodies in my brain and all this stuff. So it's like, and yet I still like value that trying to tone my vagus nerve, do what I can for my limbic system will help tolerate treatments that very much are needed for things like lifelong Bartonella, et cetera. But the kinds of things that I know are part of your program that I've tried in other facets tend to be nothing for the delusions and the psychotic spectrum experiences. So then it becomes this kind of catch-22. So that's why I'm interested. People you may have talked to like me or heard of in the program, what helps get beyond.
Well, I can just speak to people who struggle with depersonalization because
Sure.
that's the one that people tend to write in the most about their changes. And it is in our level two, we talk a lot about living our values, right? And those
Yeah.
people who um, make an absolute priority of that is their focus, this
Yeah.
values-based living, and even that daily structure sheet we talked about, where their whole their focus is being here in this timeline, living something that feels the most authentic to them over and over,
Mhm.
helping their psyche to converge back into this time space reality, because that's really what it is. It's a time space reality disorientation. And
Yes.
that, Peter Levine talks a lot about the disoriented orienting response, which is what you're probably struggling with in extreme.
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
happens in trauma when we have, infection and inflammation plus a lot of trauma, our time space reality gets a
Yeah.
little fuzzy for certain folks.
Yes.
So the antidote that I see in our program, and again, I am claiming I'm not a mental health expert, but what I have seen
Yeah.
people write in, and that has been their whole focus is living in this now moment in
Yes.
the most aligned way they can and using some type of like the daily structure sheet or some type of structure to help hold them accountable. And a lot of them have done a lot of significant coaching as well of
Yes.
right now, here I am right now doing what it's almost a type of self-talk that over
Yeah.
time allows their system to decide that it is safe to actually be in this time space reality because Kelly,
Yes.
probably what happened at some point is it was not safe for you to be in your time space reality as a
Yes.
child, is what I'm guessing. So
Yes.
we have to reprogram that this moment right here and right now is not the same as when you were two. And it
Yes.
might take you constantly doing somatic interoceptive practices like I talked about earlier.
Yes.
Literally, I would have to say, I am here right now. I am dancing to music right now, to my favorite song right now. I didn't have the extreme to what you had, but I
Yeah.
understand enough of
Sure.
that pattern to say it was like I would sometimes go for a walk and look at my feet and I'll be like, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Hundreds and hundreds of
Mm.
steps to just keep grounding to this presence. I would ground, I'd sit at a tree and be like, look around and I am here. And this is what I see here in this reality, this now moment.
Yeah.
So that is what I would say to you. You are pulling yourself, your psyche, your consciousness into this now moment over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly, for your question. All right, you guys, I am going to sign off. I said I'd be here for about 15 extra minutes, but I am so grateful for all of you who came today, and I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of these extra questions. If you have questions, feel free to write in. We have a contact form on our website, and we're happy to answer any questions. If you're in the community, please post them on the forum, and one of my team members will get back to you, or there's an email right here, admin@primaltrust.org with any questions. I'm so grateful that you took the time today to listen, and I really hope you learned something that helps you to orient to what is going on. And instead of like feeling overwhelmed with a million diagnoses, be like, okay, I've got to move that safety needle. I've got to move that signaling into it's okay to be here. I am safe here. I'm able to be in alignment. I have nervous system tools to to not be controlling my relationships, to choose my truth. That is the way. And it's a capacity that we slowly build over time in an incremental way. And over time, that autonomic nervous system will shift its reverberating message into I am here now in this. It's safe to be me. I'm sitting here right now, like thinking 10 years ago that I was living in a dark, quiet room. I couldn't handle light and sound. I had full-time care for my kids, in and out of psychosis in my own ways from so much inflammation, super debilitated. It is possible. It is possible to build that capacity. And I know it's possible for each of you. And it's just about finding a way that works. And even if primal trust isn't the way, and really, I hope each of you get this message, learn about the cell danger response, learn about interoception, learn about what feels right for you and your nervous system to find more safety. It might be a local group, it might be working with a therapist, it might be another program. I don't really care what you do. I just want you to know the path and the method, and that it's a very sequenced path that you build upon. And so, yeah, thank you for listening to me, and love to all of you, and wish you all healing and more capacity in this 2026. All right, thank you.